Alright, sorry about that. I ran out of memory there at the end. So let's finish the extra deck. So like I was saying, your extra deck's going to change based on your main deck. So if you're not playing the Warburons, then you take out the formula. But if you're playing the Warburon and you're playing like Fires of Doomsdays, you have to play the formula, making the extra token and going into a level 5, or the Black Rose is too good. So if you cut the formula, you're being kind of risky, or you're missing big plays that you could be doing. Armory Arm, always keep this in, unless you take out the Ham Strat, I suppose. But nah, actually always keep, I don't know. If you're playing the Warburon, keep it in. If you're not, take it out. But you can still go into this with like a Veiler and a token, so Armory Arm is pretty versatile. And it's a machine, so it works for Warburon. Armadis, if you don't have this card, pick it up now while it's still decently priced. It was like $16 last time I looked. I picked up 3 when they were $10. When the battle phase gets important, cards that beat the battle phase become better, and Armadis is king of the battle phase. Like you can do so many things with this card that aren't even like apparent, like tricky things that they can't respond, they can't negate. I mean, it beats a lot of cards indirectly and does a lot of indirect things. I mean, it beats things directly, like Black Wings. I mean, it does a lot of things. You need to have one. I would play this over the Catastor. If you have to cut a Catastor or Armadis, I would cut the Catastor first, even though you're going to miss out on the token. This card is so good. Then you play for our 7s. Concordia. You know, once you get your lock on your field, once you get up a Dracosac, then your next mission should be to make one of these. It makes your lock stronger, and lets you just make tokens and blow stuff up every turn. And they're going to have a hard time getting through it. And Concordia is once you get it in the grave, then you can just bring it back with a Ham Strat, so don't forget that. Black Rose, don't cut this. Black Rose changes games. Black Rose used to be good, and it is still good. And it's definitely going to be good this format, so if you have Scapegoat and a Warburon, that equals a Black Rose. So when you have the Scapegoat and Warburon, and you go into the formula, do not set cards. If you feel like they're going to extend into your field, depending on how they're playing. Because then you're going to want a Black Rose if they do anything. Because it's, I mean, generally you'll probably have 3 cards on the field. If they commit 3 or more cards, it was totally worth the Black Rose because you're going to +1 off the formula. So be careful about setting cards when you have a Black Rose play, because you're going to want to do it, but sometimes you won't be able to because you'll have cards set. This is a proxy for the Beret. If you're playing the Impalas, play the Beret. If you're not, you can cut this, but it's still a very good level 7. Crimson Blader, this is the only 8 that we're playing right now because the space is tight. And after playing in this dragon format, I feel like you have to play this if you go up against Mermails or, I don't know, any number of decks. Like, this has applications. There are so many 8s that are maybe better than this. Like a Scrap Dragon in this deck could be very good. Like, very, very good. But locking people out is sometimes more important. And, yeah, so right now I'm still playing the Crimson Blader. We'll see what the format is, and then just choose whatever the format is, whatever the top decks are. This is a Decisive Armor. Look it up, order it. If you're playing the Impalas, play the Decisive Armor. Don't even question it. If you play a light deck, it will win you the game, and you just steal the win. So, Bujin, Agents, Lightsworn, Heroes, when they summon an Alias, don't use the third effect, but Heroes, I mean, you can get off the free pop, or you destroy all their back row. Just look for the light monster, and when you see it, go for the play if it's safe. And then just start popping cards. 3,300 attack in itself is very good. You know, some people are still playing Heralds. If Heralds get big, this is an out to Herald of Perfection, because it has 3,300 attack, and you can summon it with no effects. So you can just summon the Impala, synchro into this, and then attack it, and then you're out of the lock. Star Eater. You can do this off like a scapegoat monster formula, but the main reason it's in here is because, once again, it gets through the battle phase, and you can catapult yourself into the Star Eater from a beret play. So when you go beret Saison, you have 11, so you can like change a monster to defense and then sink into the Star Eater. I really want to play a Stardust right now for Blackwings. I mean, it's hard to tell when the format is not even. We'll see what Toronto does, and then the extra deck is going to change based on whatever wins there. So if Blackwings are big, I think I'll be taking this out for a Stardust. This is a Lightning Chidori. You can try and play other level 4s, but you don't. The only level 4 monster that's worth consolidating into is this. Once they Valor you and change your levels up so you can't XYZ into a Dracosac or something, get rid of the other token by using the other monster's effect and go into Chidori. Chidori is the only monster where when you lose your field of tokens and protection, where you can change their next draw so they won't be able to hurt you. Like you can even stack whirlwinds. I was playing a friend and I had 3 Valors in my hand. The guy summoned a Sheraton, Constellar Sheraton. I Valored it and he was like half health. So he like stopped me next turn, so then I just went to Chidori and I just kept bouncing his Sheraton and I Valored it each turn, and that won me the game. I was able to do enough damage to just win you the game. So this card steals games, especially versus some decks can't handle it, like Prophecies when they play their field spell. Like I played Prophecies back when Tengu was getting played. My friend, whenever he Chidori'd me, I always lost, because once they if you bounce their field spell, they need that draw, and they need to draw off a tower, and drawing a tower is freaking horrible. And they'll probably lose if they only have like 2 or 3 cards in their hand. That will win you the game, because you have, well, that's 3 turns where they're not going to be able to do anything if they play it again. Play 2 Dracosac. I've never needed 3. Consolidating your field into a Dracosac, currently in Dragons you go Dracosac for protection, but all your monsters make tokens and they all have the built-in protection. So it's not like you have to go into Dracosac all the time. You just need to go into Dracosac to pop like back row and stuff. So you're not going to be losing these to bottomless trapples or to torrentials like you did in Dragon Rulers, because you're going to go into it while you have a token on the field, because you need a token to go into it. So they can't bottomless you, they can't torrential you. They're not going to be getting free Dracosac kills like they do currently. So you only need 2. 1 Big Eye. Dracosac is almost always better than a Big Eye, unless it's going to win you the game, or you're stealing a monster that they've like attached equips to, or like you're playing Noble Knights. Then the Big Eye's worth it. But otherwise, if you're giving up your token generating monsters and you don't have anything left, once you give up those tokens, then you're starting back at square one. So even though you have a Big Eye, you don't have the protection of the monsters, and you gave up your monsters, and you're probably going to lose your tokens next turn. So it's like starting over. So be careful playing the Big Eye. The Dracosac is usually the better play. Even if you want to get, the Big Eye is just greedy. There's no reason to do it when you can pop a card and be able to make tokens for your other monsters. The last card is a Sky Palace. You're either choosing between a Gustav Max or a Sky Palace. I don't think you can play both. I don't think you can play 2. There's a guy that made an OTK with 2 Gustav Maxes, and while the OTK is viable, the extra deck just isn't, if you do it, well, great job for you, but the extra deck for the, how the games are going to play out, you need the extra deck so you can actually win games. You're not going to get the OTK off, probably. So you need the variability in this extra deck. You don't really need the Star Eater, but everything else, you can't actually cut any of it. That's the problem. So you end up having to choose, and when you get, I don't like going into Gustav because you lose the Dragosac protection. Your monsters have built-in protection if you can go into this. So you're making yourself very vulnerable to a bottomless or a torrential. It's that's the only time you're vulnerable. They probably have those cards saved up because they're not going to be activating them, because they can't. They're not going to do anything. So they have all these live cards, and if you summon a card that is going to be targetable by it, then they're going to set that shit off because they know they're not going to get very many chances. So this card, you're going to summon it late game. And late game, the pop is more important than the damage. I mean, you're going to get the damage in anyways when you destroy their card because you're like top decking. So the pop's more important than the damage late game. If you're playing an OTK, sure, go for it. But I think the Sky Palace might be better than the Gustav. So that's it for the deck. I'm trying to make this channel more of like a instructional, like theory based, not just like a throw cards on the mat and say shit and fuck. So if you guys like this, feel free to post a comment. Let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. Because I can do the other thing. I just throw the cards on there and just say go play it, and then that's it. Or I can give you reasons why, or plays, I don't know. So let me know what you guys want or what appeals to you. I know that when I'm watching YouTube videos, I usually wish that they'd explain why they're choosing that, even though I know most people don't know. Like, they just throw cards together, or they copy a build and they change one card. So they usually don't know why they're choosing the cards they do, or they misplay, or they do a lot of wrong things. So let me know if you like this. If you don't, then I'll just do something else. So thanks guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. This was kind of lengthy, so I apologize if it was too long for you. And I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.